Hey everybody, this is On Screen, Off Screen, show where we like to talk about our media intake throughout the week, how it impacts us, how we impact it. We've got Lauren Conlon and myself here today. We're 2 days removed from Star Wars Day, and to celebrate, we're not talking about Star Wars at all. And I blame you, Disney. I'm going to go ahead and get started with my first topic. Because hopefully it's a pretty quick one, to be honest. I watched most of season 2 of The Pit. At the beginning of the year, this was one of my most anticipated shows. This show is absolute garbage. Nobody should ever watch season 2. This is a total piece of crap. I absolutely hate it. Uh, the end.
Okay, so you have some very opposing opinions of season one to season two. What changed?
Um,
Yeah.
so season 1, I really like the structure. I really like the representing a true shift mentality. I really like the pacing. I really like the characters. I had a couple of
Okay.
problems with it, and that is like they started making political statements like a third of the way through, and just
Okay.
like or 2/3 of the way through, and then just like finished out to the end. But I really like that they represented the like toll on healthcare workers, how impactful that can be. You know, our main
Mhm.
character, Dr. Robbie, he has his mental breakdown. I think that's super important to represent. Um, but then they start going into like drugs aren't a big deal, and there's a doctor who's stealing drugs, and they're just like, okay, not gonna say anything. And then they used the oh, this is an emergency situation kind of thing. They wanted to talk about shootings and mental health that lead to shootings, and I didn't really like that side of things. Season
Okay.
2 picks up right where they left off, and then they just make a statement where I stopped watching that I just made me very viciously angry. So I was like, oh, this is not as good as season 1 originally. And then
How many episodes did you watch?
I watched. Let me pull it up. I can tell you.
So I think I only watched two
Definitely
so
more than
far.
two.
Okay.
I watched partially into episode 11 out
Okay.
of 14.
And was 11 where the statement was made that bugged you?
Yeah,
Okay.
How many episodes are in a season? Is
14.
it? Oh,
It's 14 for this season at least.
Yeah.
Did you like the beginning of this season or was the entire thing like, I hate this show?
The beginning, like I said, it picked up where season 1 ended. It's a whole lot of
Yeah.
political stuff that they're just talking about. They're trying to justify things medically
Okay.
in the political world, which is like, okay, fine, yeah, whatever. Like most of season 2 is all about immigration.
Okay.
It's simply what
I
it
did
is.
notice it started going that way with the like dad and the daughter and the little family and how they can't pay for the medical care and how he just needs to leave. And I got into a little bit of that, but I haven't watched a lot.
Yeah, there's another patient who shows up, and then there's literally a conversation about how the world needs to change so that healthcare workers uh, or healthcare can provide for immigrants who need medical attention because right now they're scared to. And then ICE shows up with another patient, and it's all about police brutality that happens with that. And it's like, okay, you guys,
Okay.
like, just talk about a normal shift. That's the whole premise of your show. And while
Okay.
I'm sure these conversations do happen in the medical field, I would say they're probably an abnormal thing because you're too worried that Lauren is being bored to death by my conversation and you gotta save her.
Well, I was just thinking of like, because my dad works at a hospital, and when I was growing up, a lot of the times, like I would be sitting at the nurse's station or whatever, or I'd be in his office, like if we're in between things, and I've seen like the first one. This is a rural hospital, so it's probably very different from a city hospital. But it like was interesting for like whenever like when something went off, like my dad would just be like super calm and be like, "Oh, well, you're staying here." Like, he's like, "Here, have the squishy ball while I go deal with this code red," because like it's such a small hospital that everybody is trained in the trauma center. And so usually the only thing they get is stuff from like Bryce Canyon, or it's like you know who it is who's coming in. So my dad's always like, "Nope, you're not gonna see that." But it is like funny how political, not political, but like how much they talk politics in a hospital. That seems to be their favorite subject is politics at the nurses station. But anyway, so that's what I was thinking when you were talking about that.
Yeah. It's still like a good season up until episode 11. And to give the audience a little bit of background, I am quote unquote the forgotten child in my family. Um, so I didn't always get the attention that I necessarily needed. And the really uh, bitchy chick from season one, who's like rude, but is always quote unquote the right character, says quote unquote abuse trumps neglect 10 out of 10 times.
Mm.
And I
I can
was
see why
like,
that would piss you off.
you bitch. Neglect is abuse.
Abuse.
You can kiss my ass. And I turned off the show. Um, I don't think that's a good message to be sending. Your whole marketing is about how true and accurate your show is. One of the like most defining moments in my life is a college psychology lesson when we went over the types of abuse and my teacher explained neglect. I was literally like barely holding it together because of how impactful that moment was. And then this true and accurate show says neglect is nothing, or next to nothing, or nothing compared to abuse. I got so angry, I started researching, and it's like in the worst case scenarios of neglect, which is not me, but in the worst case scenarios, it is like worse than physical or sexual trauma most of the time, because
Wow.
physical and emotional, you get to point at somebody and say it's their fault. Um, so things tend to stick longer um, with neglect people sometimes. And like, yeah, she can kiss my ass. That's a horrible thing to say. Don't give that message. Don't believe that message. Uh, don't watch season two. It's utter garbage.
Do you think there's any? You said that there's still high quality parts about the show. Do you think there's episodes that are worth watching, or do you think the entire agenda of immigration just ruins the show? Plus this part of season episode 11.
Well, you saw two episodes, so it's that. The whole thing is
Okay,
that it's like, okay, here's some more medical stuff. Here's some traditional,
immigrants.
you know, stuff that happens in an ER, and
Okay.
then there has to be some big thing. I hate that they did that in season one. Like I said, they do it again, but this time it's because of a quote unquote potential cyber attack. They have to go without computers, and
Mm.
so everything is analog. And they call in this old nurse because she worked as analog, and some of that is really good. Like she shows up and she starts bossing nurses around, and like, this is how we used to do it. Everything is on a whiteboard instead of on the TVs. And there's a scene where they're rushing to like take a picture of the TV so that they can get the information before the computers go down, and they don't get it. And I'm like, okay, that's not how computers work. Like, just because you unplug the internet doesn't mean the information just vanishes. Like, they would stop updating for sure, but they wouldn't just like disappear.
Vanish.
It wouldn't be like it's gone forever. Um, they talk a lot about like struggles of a doctor. So that same character that I now hate more than anything, her whole thing up until that point was notating. She fell behind on her notes and is now threatening to be have to repeat her fourth year just
Yeah.
because her stuff is 4 years behind. The basic premise of season two is Robbie's going to go on sabbatical, take some time to himself, and there's this new chick that's going to come in and be the temporary uh, resident for day shift. And things about that was really good. Things about that I didn't like. I didn't like that she just started changing things before it was her turn. I don't like people who are given temporary positions of responsibility and go in and change everything. Like, excuse you, you're here for a couple of months and you're changing procedure. Like, she gives everybody these like I think you've seen it, Conlon, the passports that tell you what you're supposed to get and how long it's supposed to take. And in a hospital, it's like, yeah, up front, that is a good thing. It's good to tell people how long things will take. The second things take a little bit slower, you're going to make them more mad than if they had been not told, right?
100%.
So overall, it's just objectively a bad thing. But she starts bringing in like AI and all these tools and changing all these rules and how things run. And I'm like, you are a temporary person. You will be out of a job in 3 months. And you are changing fundamental things on how this shift runs. What is your problem? And you're not even waiting till the previous one's gone or see what the previous guy does and what's good about it and what's bad about it. But like I said, she brings
Not
in
taking time to learn.
modern tools like AI. Good. Changing rules and procedures and how things happen. Stay in your own lane, lady. Like, you don't have the ability to tell the fourth year that she'll have to repeat her fourth year because guess what? You won't be here in 3 months to have that impact.
I
Screw
thought
up.
she was a permanent employee. Am I completely wrong? I swore she was a permanent employee. They added her in because of budget problems and they wanted to help with the budget, and she was a specialist. So she was also kind of acting as a replacement for Robbie, but she was coming in because Robbie was leaving, but she was also a permanent stay to modernize tech and customer satisfaction scores so they could get the budget that they needed. Am I remembering this completely wrong?
They just don't say that.
Okay, that's
Everything
what
every time they talk about her, it's she is coming in to replace Robbie for his sabbatical, his 3 month time off. And she starts changing everything. And she starts doing those things. And she's really concerned with customer satisfaction scores. And she's talking to the admin. Now, is she a long term employee? Yeah, probably. She probably is hired by the hospital. They're probably not planning on just 3 months. That being said, she's not
Robbie
the
still hasn't
resident.
left.
He's still senior guy on shift. And in
Yeah.
3 months, when he comes back, he's still in charge, not her. Um, she has no experience in an emergency room. She came from the VA
She's administration.
hospital. So, like, I don't know, it really bothers me. The other thing that really bothers me, and this is again something that I'm projecting, is Robbie is, on his sabbatical is going on a 3 month motorcycle tour of America to sightsee and everything,
Mhm.
and nobody says anything positive about it. Everybody's like, he's not actually gonna go, or they just crap talk motorcycles.
Just oh, it's what did they say? I've only seen one of
Motorcycles.
them, but
Oh, they're
like,
so
oh, this
dangerous.
is he's having a midlife crisis. It's a little late for a midnight crisis or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the only one I remember, but I remember that.
Yeah, they talk a lot about the dangers of motorcycles. Nobody takes it seriously, um, except for one patient who comes in who was in a motorcycle accident who says, "Oh man, that's so exciting! Good for you, Robbie. I wish
And
I
of
could
course,
go
he's the
on
guy
that."
that got the
And then
motorcycle accident.
everybody else is pointing at the guy and being like, "See, Robbie, you should go." Again, that's just me projecting because that's 100% a thing that happens. Not saying it doesn't. It's it's just annoying. It's like, learn more about motorcycles because they're not as dangerous as people make them seem. But anyway,
Okay.
yeah.
I've only watched the first two episodes. I honestly liked the first two episodes, but if they kept doing the immigrant thing, I would be like, I really wouldn't like that. Um, it sounds like that's basically what they do, unfortunately. So maybe I just won't continue.
Well, it's up to you. Like I said, it's 100% me projecting on why I hate this season so much. It's not as good as season one, even if you ignore that. If you like the later half of season one, you will like season two, probably. It's more of the same.
Okay. I still enjoyed the later half of season one, but I could see the political aspect of the whole shoving ice down your throat because that's popular right now would bug me. And it happens with a lot of medical shows. Something I appreciate about House, as far as the medical shows that I have watched, it's the only one that doesn't get overtly political extremely quickly, which is too bad as far as
Yeah,
what I've
it
watched.
doesn't stay. It doesn't be political. A lot of medical shows I watch don't get political.
Oh, most of them that I've seen have get pretty political, but I haven't seen that many. Like Grey's Anatomy got political. What's the one? The Good
You
Doctor, which
froze
I
King
loved,
Conlon.
got so political. Oh, am I unfroze?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. The Good Doctor, which I loved, got super political. Unfortunately, it's just seems
That
to
one was
happen quite a bit.
political from the start.
Yeah, I know, but it got like ridiculous. It got ridiculously political.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah. I'm giving it a one, and it
too
is
bad.
generous one that I am giving season two. All right, Conlon, we're gonna talk about something more positive. Let's go on to your topic.
Okay, I watched Devil Wears Prada 2 yesterday. Do you guys like the first movie? I honestly can't remember.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Okay. What did you say, Josh?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you both haven't seen it. Wow. Okay, that's crazy. Um. All right. So both of my co-hosts haven't watched the original Wears Prada. This is a good follow-up. I like the first movie. I had an ex-girlfriend who would watch it basically once a month, and so I've seen it a lot, and I kind of got tired of it. But it's been a couple years since I've watched it, and it's a good movie. It's worth watching. I think you both would actually enjoy it. Um, Anne Hathaway is fantastic in it, and she is also great in this sequel. Like, actually, really good. She, in my opinion, carries the movie. Meryl Streep is often talked about as like the greatest actress of all time, and I've never understood that because I think she is a good, very good actress. She's consistently good, but I've never been absolutely blown away. I was blown away by how well she picked up being Miranda, who in this universe is a high executive fashion empress kind of a person, and she's just a complete bitch to everyone around her all the time, but she has these glimpses of humanity. And she does a really, really good job of, after 20 years, stepping back into that role. Anne Hathaway does an amazing job stepping back into that role. Stanley Tucci is this like fashion expert. He's the designer kind of a guy, and he does an incredible job stepping back into the role. Emily Blunt, who normally I think is phenomenal in everything, is good in this. She's not a weak point. She's not somebody that tears the movie down, but when you compare her to these other pillars, she feels like the pillar that's wobbly a little bit. Maybe it's her character writing, maybe it's her acting, but she just wasn't my favorite part of the movie. And I think that might be because she's connected to what, in my opinion, is the weakest part of the film. The basic premise is Anne Hathaway worked for Meryl Streep. That's where she got her career started. She has worked in journalism for years and years and years. And then the company that she writes for goes under, and she gets an offer to come work for Meryl Streep again as an editor this time instead of just an assistant. And it goes through the typical nostalgia stuff. Oh, look, this is what I did when I was an assistant. Ha 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 ha. Have you seen the first movie? But she comes back in because she thinks she can make a real difference with everything that she's learned about writing, and she becomes more of the career professional, which I appreciated. They let her character kind of grow and develop and become something a little bit more than she was before. There's been a big scandal with Meryl Streep's company, and Anne Hathaway is here to kind of clear that up, let the company survive, let the company breathe. Because magazines are just a dying brand, they have to figure out how to raise money and raise capital. So Meryl Streep, who has been a bitch her entire life, has to be kind and grovel a little bit, which she's never had to do. She's never been in a place where she's really had to struggle like that. It's a different avenue for her, and that causes some character growth for the character, which I actually really appreciated. Emily Blunt was a co-worker with Anne Hathaway in the first movie. In this one, she has moved on, and now she is the head of Dior, Dior, however you say the name, fashion brand. And she now has the power of advertising over Meryl Streep, who made her life a living hell. And the movie is basically Emily Blunt trying to take control of this company from Meryl Streep, and how does Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway thwart that to be able to keep surviving and keep having a good time. It is an enjoyable movie, and it feels very, very 2000s. Like if you like that 2000s chick flick, the first one is kind of a pivotal 2000s chick flick, and this one captures that identity in a way that I haven't seen a movie really do in a very, very long time. Another aspect of it that I really appreciated. It is worth your time. It is a good movie. It's very enjoyable. It's not the instant classic that the first movie is. It's missing some of that charm, but it has enough good for it to be very enjoyable. Probably one-time watch for me. I'm going to give it a 7, a solid 7. If you are a fan of the first movie, I don't know why you wouldn't enjoy this.
Any questions, Lauren? I don't have anything.
No, it just like unclicked and I was like, oh, you got something. No, I was gonna ask, so it kind of seems like a Pretty Woman moment where with like I think it was like Emily Blunt's character you said where she now has the hold over Meryl Streep. Is that kind of have you seen Pretty
Yeah,
Woman?
yeah, I have.
Okay, is it
It is.
basically that?
It's very similar,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
100%. Very similar thing. Emily Blunt plays. She's unlike anything else she's in in any other movie I've ever seen. She is not the nice girl. She's just kind of like upfront and blunt, weirdly enough. Um, and she is just like this blunt CEO girl bitch who is tired of people walking on her. And then, yeah, it has a little bit of a Pretty Woman kind of a moment on it. She's tired of being trod upon, I guess.
Hmm, okay. Maybe I'll watch
Yeah.
them.
I genuinely recommend the first movie. Like, I think you would both honestly have a good time with it. since you haven't seen it.
Mm.
Yeah, and if you like that one, watch this one. Anyway, that's kind of my short little review. Go watch it, guys. If you're a fan, it's worth your time.
So you said that this captured that early 2000s spirit more than anything in a long time. A couple of things jump out to me. You said something similar about Freakier Friday.
Yeah, this one's like Freakier Friday was the Disney 2000 spirit. This is like the more grown up adult chick flick 2000 spirit. More like a How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days kind of vibe, which the only thing that I can think of that really sort of captured that kind of was the Paris one. But that's really about it.
The Paris one?
The one you loved,
The
the
wrong
Wrong
Paris?
Paris.
Okay, I don't
yeah,
compare those at all, but okay.
but kind of still. Anyway, I don't know how to exactly describe it, but it's more of a. There's some comedy to it, but it's a little bit more like sassy. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days vibes, or what's another good one that matches that time period? Um, I don't know, but do you guys kind of get what I mean? Sort of.
The other one that jumps out to my mind that I don't know your opinion on, but He's All That.
I don't
The
think it's that good
reboot
of
to
a
She's All
movie,
That.
but I think that they tried.
I think it captures the spirit. I don't think it's as good of a movie, but I do think it has the same
Captures the
feeling.
spirit. Okay. Kind of. Kind of. I can see what you mean there. This
Uh,
one's better than that one by a lot.
okay.
Yeah.
Lauren, are you going to watch it?
The Devil Wears Prada?
Yeah.
Probably, actually.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's
With
worth your
that, let's
time.
go ahead and go on to your topic. What do you have for us, Lauren?
What, Conlon?
Oh, I literally was just gonna say it's worth your time. Josh, you should watch it. I really do
Oh,
think you
okay.
have a good time with it. Like, I really think you should watch it.
Okay. I just didn't want to cut you off.
Yeah, no problem.
My topic is New Girl. Uh, this is one of my comfort watches. It's like this, New Girl, Parks and Rec. Why can't I? Psych. These are like my go tos. Um, I just think it's so funny because like there's so many really good parts of it that are like on clipped on like TikTok and things like that, and I feel like a lot of the show is just like sometimes you see clips on TikTok and it's like that's all that's good about that show, but then you watch New Girl and I feel like there's it just keeps coming and I think it's great, and I feel like there's a lot that should be clipped and isn't clipped. But one of my favorite ones that are clipped is when he's like calling his friend. He's like, Schmidt, where are you? This restaurant's too fancy and I don't know which fork to kill myself with. And it's like I feel like I'm Jake Johnson's character Nick all the time because he's just like fumbling through life and somehow it works out for him. That's what I feel like. And then it's funny because there's this one part where he gets dressed up in his jacket and it's cleaned and he goes for a run and people are like, he never like purposefully puts on his running jacket clean to go for a run. Like something's really wrong. And I feel like that's me when I get onto like a real structured workout where somebody's like, "Oh no, what's wrong?" Because I'm usually like I usually work out, but it's like weirdly inconsistent. Like I move, like I'll walk, I'll go rollerblading, swimming, but it's not like a consistent like I swim on Wednesdays or whatever. But I always find something to make sure I'm moving. But then once it's like structured, I feel like my friend Ellie is always like, "This is you're too structured. What's going on?" So anyway, I feel a lot of Nick in this series, but yeah, I don't know what else to like say about it. I think it's funny. I don't think that you necessarily need to um like it doesn't have it's a good escape from everything because it doesn't go into a lot of like what we're dealing with in life. And like I quote it a lot. There's like one of my favorite parts is like um oh what, he's like, stop being mean to me or I swear I'm gonna fall in love with you. Anyway, there's just like a lot of quotable things in this series, and I think it's fun and it's a good escape. 10 out of 10 for escapism.
Conlon, you're talking, but we can't hear you.
Yeah.
I'm a bigger fan of New Girl than Josh is. I actually really like this show. I think it's very funny. I think Zoe Deschanel is hilarious and underrated and great. It's just a wholesome, very fun show. I can say wholesome. It's not wholesome, but it's fun. Um, do you like the ending of the show? Because that's my one big issue with it, as I think the last season drops off a cliff.
I know a lot of people don't like the ending. I am okay with it. I was just
Okay.
more because they go into like that time jump. I feel like that a lot of wait, does that one do a huge? No, she had like there was like a weird thing where she was pregnant, so they had her go on jury duty for a while. Zoe Deschanel. I'm trying to think of how the ending happened because I actually really liked when they're moving out and then it shows them later on in life playing the game that they're playing. So I actually really liked the ending.
Okay. What about the whole like she teaches at the weird school thing? I I hate that whole thing. I don't like it at all.
I'm trying to think, remember
Yeah,
that.
she teaches at some like hippie school, and it is so cringy and so awful. Like it's genuinely terrible.
I
Um,
must have blocked that from my
oh,
mind.
but other than that, this show is absolutely a delight. But that hippie school artsy thing, awful, awful. I
It's
haven't seen the show. Oh, good.
it was just so funny too because like when I started watching this, I definitely felt like Jessie, the new girl, when she's like hung up over her ex, who is so lame, so lame. And at this point, I was hung over about this ex who's so lame, and or at least I wasn't hung over him. I just got over being hung over him, but it was so funny because I remember Ellie being like, "Yeah, that's what you were like." I was like, "No," she's like, "Yep, we all can see it." You're just, and I was like, "Oh," so it was like it was really funny to watch and be like, "Yep, that was me."
I can't be that lame. No.
Well, it's just like so funny because like she has like the rose-colored glasses on, and they're like, "Don't
Yeah,
go back," and she's like, "Oh, what if I go?" And he's like the lamest thing ever, and she's like,
he's so
"Oh,"
lame.
she, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" It just goes to show that like you think that it's being exaggerated in the movie. I mean, in this series, it is not. It's really sad to say that it is like that sometimes. So I also think that's why I took to this show so quickly too, is because I was like, I get it, girl, I get it. But yeah, so
Good
I
show.
like I know that I shouldn't rate it a 10 out of 10, but I'm rating it a 10 out of 10 out of my scale of like it's something that I'll always pick up. It's something that I enjoy. Um,
Do you
and
have a
I
favorite
don't.
season?
Um, I'm always like a fan of either like I really like the first of this, but I also like when Coach comes back.
I like when Coach comes
So
back a lot, actually.
yeah, so it's like I don't know that I have a favorite season. But
Do
yeah,
you like it's Nick and Zoe, right? Nick is his name?
Nick, yeah,
Yeah, do
Jake
you like
Johnson's
them
character.
together?
I do like them together in like I do like them together. Uh and I do like how they aren't together then are together. So I like their journey.
I actually do too. It's one of the better because it's all. I mean, all of these shows have one of those, but it's one of the better ones. I think it's
Yeah.
good.
I, unfortunately, there are some people that I did like her more with, but there was nobody that I liked better with Nick's character than
Who did you like better with her?
I like the nerdy guy, the teacher.
I actually do too. I actually do
But
too.
yeah, that was the only one. And then I feel like they kind of like made him. I feel like they did his character dirty later by making him like see like this loser later on in life. And I was like, oh come on, you didn't have to do that to him. You could just say that they just didn't work out. But yeah, 10 out
Cool,
of
cool,
10 for
cool.
me.
It's a good show. I would probably give it like a 7.5. It's like I really enjoyed it. It's not one that I go back to a ton, but it's a good show.
I do love when Schmidt gets the house with oh, I can't remember what her name is, but he's like they hear a noise and he's like, "Is that the criminals from the statistics?" Like, that always pops up into my head late at night if I hear something weird. I'm like, "From the statistics."
Literally before the podcast, guys watching, I was talking about how there was a criminal who was in my backyard hiding behind my chicken coop. And that is so funny.
From the statistics.
From the statistics.
So yeah.
That's funny.
Anyway, very quotable. I like it.
Very quotable.
I'm so glad you like it.
I know you're not the biggest fan of it.
I just can't get into it, and I've tried multiple times, and I think the best evidence I have for why is not actually a reason why. It's just simply like every time somebody talks about the show, they talk about a scene from the show that I've seen on TikTok like 1,000 times.
Mm,
And I've never heard anybody bring up a scene from the show that they think is good that I have not just seen the 2 minute clip of. And I think
okay.
that's my problem with the show is the rest of the time I just can't get into it. There are great scenes in this show, without a doubt. I just can't get into the rest of it.
Lauren, I'm curious what you think because I don't. Josh will absolutely be against this. Do you think the humor is similar to? Oh shoot, it wasn't coming to my head. The detective one that Josh loves with Gus.
Psych?
Yeah, do you think it's similar?
No.
Okay, okay,
Psych has like way too many. It it's quicker witted, um, and it has more like they have more of like the solving of problems of things. Where in New Girls, it's just their lives that they're messing up and trying to put together. So there's like a side thing, and then their lives, and then also the humor is more reference based and witty.
okay,
Whereas New Girls is just absurd and relatable.
okay. Cool.
So,
That's fair.
mm.
Okay.
All right, very cool. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our shared topic. We're going to be talking about the long walk. We're going to be doing our shared topic a little bit different this time. Traditionally, we go whoever's suggestion it was, and then we try and like guess who's going to be the most positive to have them finish. Um, but I'm going to start and I'm going to end. Um, so the reason for this is I think one of you is going to like this movie, and I think one of you is not going to like this movie. And I simply cannot decide if I like this movie. So I'm going
Okay.
to start. I'm going to hear both of your arguments about the movie, and then I will side with whatever arguments I like better and decide
Okay.
if it's a good movie or not. Uh, so for me, I think 70% of the show is simply just overrated. This is one of the biggest movies of last year. A lot of people are praising it as being brilliant, and I watched it and I was like genuinely about to turn it off, and I got a good scene. And I was like,
Which one
wow,
was it?
that's a really good scene. It's everything leading up to the him seeing his mom.
Okay.
And then him seeing his mom is a brilliant scene. And then all the way to the end, I think is really, really good stuff. But up until that point, I was like, I don't get why this is such a big movie. And we go and we go and we look at it, and then the ending is kind of weird. And so I'm just sitting there like, there's a couple little good moments, and then we have this really powerful moment, and then we have the sacrifice of the one kid I really wish was done differently. Then the ending is kind of weird. So I don't know. I cannot decide. I have literally been arguing with myself for days thinking about this. Like, okay, well that was good. Okay, but that was just so whatever, and I don't really like that. And I tried to get Lauren on a call earlier so she could just come on and be like, this is brilliant, but she hadn't watched it at that point. So I was like, okay, so I still don't know if I like it or not.
Okay.
But I think I've decided I don't think Lauren is going to like it. So, Lauren, arguments against. Let's hear it.
These are all very personal arguments of why I absolutely hated this movie and cannot stand it. Um, I do think that it had I could see the message it was trying to convey, and I understand that sometimes when you're trying to do these messages, you're trying to make your audience uncomfortable to sit with that message. I do not think having somebody poop on the road for as long as they did to be that message.
What
Um,
message do you think they were trying to convey? I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
with the whole movie.
Yeah.
So there's something that the main character says where he's like, "You think we volunteered for this, but really, we were pushed into this, and this is the only way out." And so everybody was volunteering for this one way out. So that's not really volunteering. We were signed up for this. Um, so it's saying how a lot of times we're given the illusion of choice as a people or as a group, and so you have the illusion of choice, but really you need to see that that's not actually what's going on. And so the main guy, he there's a part where the guy says, "Oh, you think that you can change everything?" And he's like, "No." You think you can change everything with your wish? And he's like, "No, I hope that like what I do will inspire change." So he's like, "I don't think that I'll actually be able to do that." So that was the message, right? Of this one guy was able to try to, and he did do influence people to end up doing other things, but um, I didn't think that yeah, that scene where the guy was had the runs and kept having to use the restroom, they I don't think that needed to be in there. Um, because I put that kind of with the body horror a little bit, as well as when the kid who was writing the book about his experience on the long walk, and he had that twisted ankle and it was showing him walking on it. I hated that scene. Um, it was a little gory for me. Uh, yeah. Uh, I just I get a little bit too empathetic with things like this. Um, because like the first kid to die was the kid that like lied to get in with his age and stuff. And so like right from the get-go, I was already like, I hate this so much. I get that they're like, I feel like there's other movies that get a point across without making me absolutely sick. And maybe that was their point, was to just make me, but I was like, I'm like, you don't have to convince me of some of these things. Like, I don't need to be convinced sick, I guess. And maybe this does work for people. Maybe they do need to like see those things to get an idea through their head, but that for me, it doesn't work for me. It just makes me shut down. Um yeah. So I this is more for a personal thing, that I really didn't like this movie because it pushed um humiliation, uh and like there's something, and I was trying to tell Josh earlier that I'm like, it's an emotion that I can't quite, it's like something in between shame and embarrassment, um and empathy, those three like mashed together. Where I had it happen to me another time before watching The Wild, weirdly enough, where they like the characters walked in on a mouse in his little tree stump bathroom or whatever, and the mouse started like yelling at them to get out of his bathroom or whatever, and like it just didn't sit right with me, and I just felt gross, and that's the same feeling I got with this movie. So yeah, I didn't like it. I also thought that it was, the ending was, pissed me off. I did want Pete to live, um, and I thought Pete deserved to be the one to live. And I thought when Pete was like, "Yeah, I want to like sit down when I'm done, I'll just sit down or whatever," and I was like, and then I kind of like skipped through. Yeah, it was it was a movie that I watched, and I wished I hadn't. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I also wanted Pete to live. I hate that he did it in front of the crowd because there was the whole moment in front of the mom, like, don't do this in front of her. And then they had the moment where they were like, don't do it in front of the crowd, push on, you know. And then they do it in front of the crowd, and I wanted it to not be in front of the crowd. And then he just kind of walks off in solitude, and it's supposed to symbolize his death. And I was like, I don't like that either.
yeah,
I hate that he did what he did. I hate that he fell to the pressure. I hate that, you know, the other kid sacrificed himself saying, like, you deserve it because you're not going to do that. And then he does that. So, yeah. What is your rating, Lauren? 0. Okay. Okay, now somebody I think is going to like it. Conlon, what is your thoughts?
So my thoughts, I kind of am ruining your what you're doing here because I liked it, assuming that I would have liked this. I was very similar to you, Josh, actually, with this movie. Literally, I was watching probably the first half, and I felt bad that I'm making you guys watch the movie. That's kind of where I was. It wasn't a pleasant watch. I didn't feel like it had a lot of point. I feel like it kind of got to the point way quicker. Then you have the scene where Lauren was talking about it, and he says, I don't think I'm going to change anything, but maybe I can spark a change. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting thought. I like that idea. And I like that it makes the story that we're watching feel like there's a point to it versus it being kind of aimless, which is what I largely felt like the first half of this movie was, largely aimless and unpleasant. They're starting to walk, and these are healthy young men, but the guy gets a cramp at like 15 miles, and I just didn't believe that. He's healthy, he can walk 15 miles and be okay. If you're going to 100, I kind of believe that. The guy has a seizure at 20 something miles. None of these people are super out of shape. Like you can walk 20 something miles. They have the argument that Do you know anybody who doesn't sign up for the draft or doesn't sign up for this lottery? Yeah, there would be a lot of people who don't sign up for the lottery. So that point just didn't really hit home for me either, because you would have people who don't. And Stephen King, it's said that Stephen King wrote this as a declaration against capitalism. I've heard that a lot around this movie. Stephen King has not said that anywhere. That is fake news. Stephen King wrote this as a referendum on the Vietnam War and how everybody had to be stuck in the war and there was no choice. We would watch our men die on TV, and then we would celebrate their deaths. And the ending is supposed to be all of these people celebrating the death and the carnage that didn't need to happen. It was pointless. And how maybe if somebody stands up and is willing to sacrifice a little something, then maybe there can be a point. Which leads me to the ending sequences where you have the mom scene that is very, very good, where he's regretting what he's doing and the sacrifice that he's going to make. But then he doesn't make the sacrifice. He expects somebody else to make the sacrifice. And in my opinion, that cuts the tension and the purpose of the entire movie. Where it's like, you know what? People are going to die. People keep dying. They die year after year. My dad died. And I am going to sacrifice myself. I know I'm probably going to die after I pull that bullet, but maybe it'll matter because nothing else matters. Our walk doesn't matter. The lives that are falling around me don't matter. Nothing matters. Everything's just kind of pointless. And I think the sacrifice where he kills himself and keeps his friend alive is supposed to say that that's the thing that matters, but everyone's dying anyway. So you just sacrificed for nothing because he's just going to die. You don't know if you're actually going to spark something because he lived. It's just going to be another walk. And I felt like it cut the tension, it cut the purpose of the entire movie, and left me feeling kind of hollow towards the entire experience that had good moments. Um, and I felt like I wanted to apologize to both of you for making you watch the movie. Is kind of how I felt, to be completely honest. I was really disappointed in the movie. I don't understand the praise. I think the good arguments don't. They fight for a point that the movie doesn't portray very well, and it doesn't make very well. And in the end of things, I'm giving it a 3.5 because I think there are really good moments, but it's not a movie that lands the impacts that it is trying to make, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's like what I the thought I kept having while I was watching this was I was like, there's a lot of better movies that make these points better
Yeah,
and
just
more
it
solid
felt like,
maybe.
it felt like a mess and just not great writing, which is weird coming from Stephen King. I'm actually very tempted to read the book to see if they made major changes because he's usually
They
so
did. It has
well
an
thought
entirely
out.
different ending.
Okay, I
The
would
other
probably
kid is the
like it better.
survivor in the book. Pete does not
That makes
live.
so much more sense to me.
Yeah.
So much more sense. With the point that they're trying to make, like it cut the intention of the whole thing completely, in my opinion. Uh, yeah. Anyway, I was thinking about it, and like, I only get so many horror movies because Lauren doesn't really like them, or movies that are a little bit more edgy, where we can all talk about them together. And this one just wasn't worth my allotment of more serious, thought provoking, theme driven, but darker movies. It just wasn't. It wasn't worth it. I don't think it's worth a watch. I don't think it's worth your time. It's unpleasant. The poop scene is too long. They could have made that point without being so dwelling on it. I just, yeah, I don't think it was very good.
Okay. That does kind of throw a wrench into it. And surprisingly,
Yeah.
this makes me the positive person in the group. Because you guys talked about that message. I think it's in it. I actually don't think that that message is the main point that I was
Okay.
getting. For me, it was a lot about brotherhood and family and
Mm.
like we treat our lives as us versus them. And at the beginning of the long walk, it is us versus them mentality. But you start to see the ones who are bonding, who are opening up, and who are being honest as being the ones to make it further in the long walk. To me, it was all about life, right? You
Hmm.
start off, you're pretty good. Some people trip and fall earlier, some people later. Um, there's the element of depression and anxiety that just says, I just want to stop walking, you know? Like, this is all I have been doing. I want to do something. I want to be done with this. So for me, that was a pretty big part of this movie. Um,
That's fair. That's
so
that is a good
I'm going
aspect
to be a
of the
little bit
movie.
more positive. I think that I agree with Lauren in like those scenes being gross and disgusting and not necessary. I also believe that it was good for what I view as their intention. Like, it did serve that purpose of humiliation because it actually happens twice in the movie. And the first time you
Yeah.
have the obnoxious kid going like, just shit yourself, you're gonna die, just to, whatever. And then they continue to mock the kid, right? You have that prolonged humiliation and embarrassment. And then it happens again, and this time the annoying kid is like, stand up, walk, don't die over this, So you see uh, that purpose of like somebody realizing that, having a brotherhood, a family is important. And this is exactly why. And things are so much easier when you have people to rely on to help you stand up and move on. And then we get to the end, which I have this love hate relationship to, because I love that Pete lived. I
Hmm.
love that the one guy was like, just keep walking with me for a while, and then immediately stops. I think that's brilliant. I don't like that it was done in the crowd. I think they should have carried on, right? You have a couple of the crowd members join them for the walk, you have them taunt and kind of stuff. And then the whole scene where Pete dies or doesn't die and just kind of walks off into this street. I'm like, if you're going to say he died, to me, it would be more impactful if you had the brotherhood at the end of the road, right? He's walking towards the light at the end
That
of
would
the
have been
road,
cool.
and you have them waiting for him,
That
right?
would
You
have been
have
cool.
that greater meaning of like, he sacrificed himself, he caved under pressure, but he is still rejoining his brothers. And it was just so ambiguous. I literally Googled
That
it.
would have
I
been
was
cool.
like, did Pete die? I don't know. It implies that he dies, I think, but he could have like passed out at the same time. He did just walk for over 300 effing miles. Like, um, so yeah, I'm very largely with Conlon. I'm tempted to read the book just because I'm like, I see so much positive in this. If you fix
Yeah.
the ending, maybe this would be really good. But it's Stephen King famously, for me, sucks in endings. So I'm
That's
still not
true.
even convinced of that. I'm like, it seems like Stephen King wrote the good parts of the movie, and then the writer said, this ending sucks, let's write our own, and just made it a different kind of suck. So I don't know.
That's the real
I'm kind of
question.
tempted, but I also don't know.
I'm super tempted. And I didn't go into some of the good things, but I do like the brotherhood aspect. I also like how much research was done because, like, during war times, World War II, Vietnam, they would have people march, and you can walk straight because they've had people do it for 300 to 400 miles. People can, like, they would sleep and they would walk. That is something that people do actually do in these situations. They will sleep and walk, and someone will basically guide them. That was an actual thing that happened with prisoners of war, which I think is really cool. Like there are good aspects of the film. It just didn't live up to it. Anyway, I kind of cut you off, Josh.
No, you're good. Um, I disagree with Conlon on the science of the walking. Um, I 100% would believe somebody would cramp up and at mile 15.
After like 15. Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't think so. These guys are like in their 20s, like early
It
20s,
was a young
and
kid
yeah.
that cramped
they're
her.
in shape.
They're also
15
carrying
miles?
all their food and water, their clothing. They're somewhere they don't want to be. There's nothing said about hydration. We know it's a dystopian world, so who knows how much potassium these people are getting. Like, I did a 20-mile walk. Guess what? Or for scouts, that's the hiking merit badge. You have to do a 20 miler. Some of us were quite dehydrated and having to take extra breaks and like would have cramped up.
I
And we were
believe
like
that.
15, 16, like
Isn't there one scene where they fill up the water, like the guy who's driving next to him fills up the canteen? I think that there
They'll
is.
switch canteens with
they'll
them.
switch canteens with them.
Yeah,
They will
yeah.
feed them
So they've got
after a
water,
certain mile marker. And
and
they're
they have,
making fun of
and
the
they're
one for
on
eating all of his food.
flat asphalt. Like I get your point, I get it, but also with those hiking merit badges, you're going like on trails. That's just it's different.
It is different, right? Altitude is also different, right? I
100%.
went up
Yeah,
in altitude. You have up and down. But again, hydration, nutrition, like you get
Also,
cramps in your
walking
sleep. You didn't walk 20 miles.
walking on
I've never had
pavement
that.
too sucks.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
right? Like
But not as bad as like yeah. Okay. Anyway.
if you've never had a cramp in your sleep, I am very, very jealous because I was
I haven't.
potassium deficient for a while and I had them almost nightly. It was horrible. But yeah, it's dystopia. There's nothing to say that they're getting enough hydration, the water's clean enough, or they're getting the nutritional needs. Nothing said about calcium, potassium. So yeah, absolutely, I buy that they get cramps at mile 15 for sure. Not a doubt in my mind.
Also, was Mark Hamill
Yep,
the
Mark Hamill. I
okay?
Yes.
I literally asked AI. I was like, "Is that Mark Hamill in the long?"
I kept like looking at it because he had sunglasses and a hat on the entire time, and I was like, Clark Kent. The whole time, I couldn't tell if it was Mark Hamill
Yeah,
or
for me,
not.
it was the voice. It just didn't sound like Mark Hamill. I was like, "That looks like Mark Hamill, but that doesn't sound like Mark Hamill."
That is something I should have brought up as a positive because I knew it was him, but I was like, wow. If I hadn't looked at your face a million times because I've watched Star Wars so much and I've seen you as an old man, I would have no idea, no clue.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give it a 5.5
Okay.
because I do see there's really good high highs. I do kind of want to read the book. If a movie makes me want to read the book, that's got to get some points to it. And like, would I rather watch this or Black Panther? If I watch this, I can at least pretend to be artsy and be like, "Oh, you didn't get the societal message." And if I watch Black Panther, it's like I just wasted 2 hours because that's just mediocre, and I can't say that this is just mediocre
That's fair.
because there's some good stuff in it, and like the mom scene made me want to cry, and like it's heartbreaking when she's like, "Don't hug me." Your own mother. Just keep walking. It's so heartbreaking. So, like, I think it's at least better than a freaking Black Panther. Um, so, yeah. All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and end here. Next week, we're going to be watching from season 4. We're going to get started. We're just going to be talking about the first
Let's
episode.
go.
I'm so excited. Remember to like, subscribe, do all the good things, comment, let us know what you want us to watch or talk about or whatever. Um, remember to be better today than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.